thought it would help me out, but at the time I was just a really sad kid. I didn't really want to talk to anybody. It was really hard for me because it came to a point where I was getting interviewed like twice a month, and it was really hard for me to like talk about it over and over, and it's really sad. Like I haven't talked about it in so long, and like I almost teared up today as we're speaking. My dad too, because he still hasn't learned to let go. Like I haven't let go. Like they're still in my heart, but there's just so much you can do.
Does the anniversary mean something, or do things change in your mind at that time?
It's a very sad day for me.
How do you find it day to day in terms of getting on with life? How often does this invade your thoughts?
It comes in my head a lot. I have nightmares, can't sleep sometimes. Just something I'm going to have to live with. It's not a choice. We were told that the basement is a safe place in case of any bombings, and at my house, which was a couple of houses afterwards, we didn't have a basement, so we would all gather up and go there for shelter and safety. We went there a couple of nights before till that night, and ever since I've been a kid, I had a bad feeling. Like when I always had a bad feeling something was going to happen, it usually does, and I told my mom, I'm like, let's stay here tonight. I have a bad feeling something bad is going to happen. She said, you could stay here if you'd like with your aunt and your grandma and grandpa and uncle, and I'm going to go. And I said, no, I'm not going to leave you by yourself. I'm going to come with you. We went there. They used to give us sleeping pills so we would go to sleep. And then later on that night, around 3 or 4 o'clock, in the middle of the night, I got woken up by my mom saying, oh, the cops are here. And the first thing I told her is, I told you I knew something bad was going to happen. She's like, I know I should have listened to you. The door opened, the police were talking in Albanian a little bit and Serbian, saying, you guys are with UÇK, KLA, you guys are hiding the men. And we're like, no, we're just women and children trying to be safe. And they took us from the pool hall, which it was not connected to the house, and the basement was underneath the pool house, to the house. And at the door, when we got to the front of the door of the house, this little girl went out running to go open the door, and then the guy shot it down. The girl was terrified, ran off. We went inside the house. And then once we were inside the house, we all sat around in the living room. We sat around, and then this girl, her name Frauka, she got up to make tea, and then the guy kind of pushed her and started firing, like shooting her like 5 or 6 times. Her mother starts running out to go hold her. She gets shot, and then he just went off shooting everybody. And then my mother was changing my baby sister's diaper, and she got shot in the back, so she kind of fell on my baby sister. And my baby sister, my mom was a bigger woman, so I tried to save my baby sister after all of this. I was lying behind a woman that was kind of a bigger woman too. That's the only way I survived. I was kind of laying down, and I felt that I got shot because, not that it hurt, it's just my arm felt really heavy and warm, and I could feel the blood dripping. So I pretended to be dead. The closet was already on fire. The house was smoking up, and in the end, before the cop left, the police officer left, he looked with a flashlight to see if everybody's dead. I kind of moved my head, and as I moved my head, he saw me, and he shot, and I swear I felt the bullet go right between my hair, and I just quickly dropped my head, pretended to be dead, and then they kind of left. And from that room, I tried to save my baby sister, and I couldn't because my stronger arm was obviously gone, and I was a small child, and I tried to to save her, and I couldn't, and I knew if I would have been there any longer, I would have been gone too. I saw my aunt, she heard some noise, she thought it was the police, so she ran, and then I yelled out her name. She came back, she's like, what happened? I'm like, everybody's dead, I'm shot, and she told me that I just had a bad dream. I'm like, no, I didn't. So she's like, follow me, and we entered through the back, where in the back we had this room, we called it the fire room, where we had firewood. She kind of walked in, like, ahead of me, walking fast, and I fainted, and she came back, she's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I'm losing a lot of blood, I'm fainting, like, everybody's dead, what don't you get? She's like, no, it's probably just a sleeping pill. She took me inside, my grandfather lit a candle, and he told me what happened. I told him, he's like, he kind of slapped me and said, like, snap out of it, you just had a bad dream. I'm like, oh yeah, well, look at me, like, take off my jacket. He took off my jacket, and I was soaking in blood. And then he kind of cut my shirt and tied my arm around, and we waited till daylight. Daylight, we saw my dad. And my dad was crying, and then I was like, he's like, I'll go with your aunt and your grandfather and uncle, and I will meet you guys in Albania. And I said, well, can I at least have one last kiss, and in case I don't see you ever again? He came and gave me a kiss. He's like, don't worry, son, you'll see me. 4 days afterwards, we got to the border, and I was very frightened at the border, because I thought, like, it's either I cross and I'm good, or they just start shooting. I don't know what these guys were planning on doing and what they were thinking. As soon as I crossed the border, a gentleman came over, and he carried me in his arms and got me help and was taking care of me from then.
Are you optimistic about life now? Do you think you'll reach a point in life where it will be less painful to...
I probably will once I get a family of my own, but I'm still not going to be 100%. Like, this just doesn't happen to anybody, and it just doesn't happen to a 10-year-old that was having such a good life before this. Nothing but happiness with family, friends.
By some almost miracle you escaped, really. You shouldn't be here, really, should you?
I ask that question every day of my life. I ask, why am I still here? Like, why did I survive? Is there a purpose for me to be here? I don't know.